from this verse, and a lot of strength and courage from this verse. Because as we all know, when you're doing a project for Srila Prabhupada, said you're fighting against Maya. And Maya throws challenge after challenge after challenge. No temple was built smoothly. You go in there and say, okay, get permission. Immediately the local council gives permission. The government says, no problem, we are really waiting for you. And then you start building and people come, donations come, millions come everywhere. I want to give a million, I want to give a million. And within 6 months, the temple is ready and you have the inauguration. Ujjain temple did like that. Bhakti Maharaj said he built a temple in 10 months. Ujjain temple. But normally that's not the case. It's normally a hard struggle for years together and lots of challenges. And I'm not blaming anyone for challenges. I have my own anarthas coming up, showing up, and having to clean them up. So it's a lengthy process, but it's a fun process because while it's painful at one level, another level it is very sweet because we take shelter of the Lord like this, chant this verse. So anyone can tell me under what circumstances Lord Ramchandra recited this verse, said this verse, under what condition? Anyone knows this verse? What circumstance, please? Yes. Mataji, please go ahead. Shraddha Mataji. Yeah. Shraddha Mataji. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I'm taking a guess here. I think Lord Ramchandra says this verse when Vibhishan has come to take shelter, and he's taking advice from other Vanaras and about Vibhishan as to what do you think, shall I give him a shelter or not? Yeah. And then Sugriva is very apprehensive about Vibhishan. So then in conclusion, this is what Ramchandra says.
My God, spot on. Very good. First attempt, best attempt. Got it right. That's so wonderful. So let's now go to that aspect of Ramayan. So let's take a little step back from there. Vibhishan, as you know, was a Ram Bhakta from the beginning, living in the family of Asuras, demons, living in a country of demons, actually, or Rakshasas. He was the only devotee there. And he was always advising Ravan on the path of Dharma, to follow the path of Dharma. I mean, even to some extent, whatever extent Ravan followed Dharma, he got so much opulence for Lanka. Lanka was known as the golden city. Lanka is a golden city. It was built on Trikuta, the mountains, and very opulent. And that was actually built by his brother, Kuber. So Ravan snatched it from him and took it. It's a very opulent country, very opulent state and city. And it's called a golden city, very, very wealthy. So there is a description in the Ramayan of how beautiful the city was. All the lakes, parks, gardens, and everything was, the walls made of jewels and opulence to that. You can't even imagine these days that kind of opulence. But Ravan was very lusty, as we know. And as a result, he was never satisfied. Lust, as we read in the Gita, Kama Esha, Krodesha, Rajoguna Samudra, 3rd chapter, Krishna says, it is the Mahashana Mahapapa, Vidhi Eva Vairina. It's the biggest enemy. Our enemy is not the boss, not the neighbor, not Russia. Our enemy is actually sitting inside us. Our own lust is our biggest enemy. I can't blame anyone for that. It is me and me alone. And my lust, that's my enemy. And that's what I'm battling with. But instead I come up with, this is my enemy, that's my enemy. We have so many imaginary enemies outside. An actual enemy is sitting right inside us. It takes a while for the penny to drop, but once we realize that, then we become a lot more peaceful to understand what we're dealing with. Not that it's easy to deal with, but at least we know where the enemy is. Sitting place of the enemy, as Krishna described in the Gita. So Ravan was victim of lust, as we all know. And therefore, he did not heed the advice of Vibhishan. And he became so, when he made plans to kidnap Sita, that's when Vibhishan said, this is the last straw. I don't want to be part of this. He told him straight away that you are making the biggest mistake of your life. And you will be destroyed. The whole Rakshasa clan will be destroyed. He warned him, but he, instead of being appreciative of the good advice, he actually kicked him out of Lanka and said, "You get out of my kingdom. I don't want to see your face. Actually, if you're not a brother, I would have killed you. Just because you're a brother, I'm leaving you alive, but get out of here. Don't ever come back." So he kicked him out. And that's when Shraddha Mataji is saying that actually Vibhishan left Lanka. He didn't leave alone. He left with 4 of his associates came with him. There are many small details in the Leela. I'm not going to all detail, like he goes to his mother and takes a blessing and all that. So many things happen in between, but let's fast forward all that. And he leaves with 4 of his associates who are very loyal to him. And they said, wherever you go, we'll be with you. Whatever decision you take, we'll follow you. So 4 very loyal associates of Vibhishan. Because they're Rakshas, they could fly without airlines. They used their own mystic powers and they flew from Lanka to come and take shelter of Lord Ramchandra. And because they're coming in the air, they could see the Vanaras could see them coming, and they were apprehensive. They said, "Oh, this is the enemy of Lanka. This is Ravana's brother is coming from Lanka. Oh, he's going to attack us. He's come to attack Lord Ramchandra." So, out of concern for safety of Lord Ramchandra and the community, in Kishkinda, the Vanaras felt that this is dangerous. We should kill him instantly before he even lands. Attack him straight away. Don't wait for anything. Like I don't know if you say it in US or not. There is the think it and the do it team camp. You have heard of think it and do it? There is a group of people that do it and think it. This is called American way. Do it and think it. First you do what you have to do. Then you think, did I do right or wrong? Then you analyze it. Have conferences on what went wrong. First you do it. The Indian way is the traditional Indian way. The Vedic way is think it and do it. That's the Sattvic. Rajasic is do it and then think it. But Australia is Tamasic. They do think it and think it. They don't do it at all. Whatever it is, good or bad. That's what they call Australasia. Australasia. Very laid back, which is good for us as devotees because we're not too much pressure. Work pressure is quite manageable. We do get a lot of time for Krishna consciousness. So that is a good thing about it. Anyway, jokes aside, going back to Vibhishan, he was flying and approaching Lord Ramchandra, and they were all saying, do it and think it. All the Vanaras. But when he asked Hanuman, Hanuman said that we should at least talk to him first. Let's talk to him and find out what he's coming for. Then we can decide whether to attack him or not. Let's not attack without asking first. And that's when Lord Ramchandra said, looking at the body language of Vibhishan, I can see that he's coming to surrender to me, not to fight him. Remember, same doubt was cast on Bharat. When Bharat came to give the kingdom back to Lord Ram, to persuade Lord Ram to come back to Ayodhya with all the queens and all the ministers and Ayodhyavasis, they all got together and they came in a big whole army. Everyone had come simply to ask Lord Ram to come back to Ayodhya. You are the real king. But Lakshman had a doubt. He said, he's come, Bhaiya, he's come to attack you. He's coming here to attack you. And Lord Ram said, no, my Bharat will never do that. So again, Lord Ram was very clear in his thinking. He didn't make a mistake. See, so often in our own lives, right? Somebody comes to us with good intention. Somebody gives good advice. We see them as our enemies because they don't agree with us. It's such a big mistake. And then we make enemies of that person. Instead of appreciating the person, we make enemies. Big lesson for us to learn. At least for me, it's a very big lesson. Never judge like this, hastily judge someone because they said something or did something, even if it is wrong. Very big lesson. And as we're trying to build a community, it's so important because you burn relationships, destroy relationships so easily. We don't take care of this point. So anyway, Lord Ramchandra said, looking at his body language, I feel he's coming to take shelter of me. And that's when he said this famous word, Sakruteva Prapanavya Stava Smriti Yachate Abhayam Sarvada Tasmai Dadami Etad Vratam. I give that person Abhayam, fearless. Even if Ravan were to come now and take shelter of me, I would give him protection. I would personally give him protection and give him courage. to face all the difficulties. Such a big lesson for us, especially living in Kali Yuga, where I'm sure we all agree that we face so many challenge after challenge in our life. And we need all the shelter, we need the protection, we need the reassurance, we need the courage to be able to move on. So here we can see that actually Lord Ramchandra gives assurance even to Ravan, and to the end also, at the very end also, Lord Ramchandra, as you know, he gave one final chance to Ravan. He said, even now, if you return Sita back to me, then I will not kill you. Not only that, I will myself give you protection. I'll be your protector. You can have your kingdom. And I will make the public forget that you did such a bad thing. I'll make people forget. You won't even get a bad name after this. Oh, this is Ravan, sinful rascal. No. Rather, I'll make because I'm Paramatma, I can make everyone feel that you are a noble soul. He gave back Sita. He won't mention that he took Sita. He wants to mention that he's given back Sita. Returned Sita to him. You are such a noble soul. He's such a noble soul. Ravan is a great soul. So you'll be glorified for this act. But on the other hand, if you don't return Sita, I have to kill you. So this is Lord Ramchandra's position with Ravan till the very end. Similarly, for us, what is the lesson? As Jivas, we keep making mistakes. The Lord is constantly forgiving us and giving us another chance. He never closed the door. He always keeps the door open. No matter how much we've fallen, no matter how many mistakes we make, the Lord is always very kind to us. And He is giving this opportunity to rectify ourselves and come back to Him. That's how much badly He wants us back. How desperately wants us back. He loves us so much. You can't imagine. And He's feeling great separation from each one of us. And He wants us back in Golok Vrindavan. The Lord wants us back. And He is prepared to do anything to do that. And you all devotees are doing Bhakti Vriksha programs, preaching programs. You are assisting the Lord in bringing back the lost conditioned souls. So He's very grateful. Lord Chaitanya becomes very grateful if someone, Lord Nityananda, becomes very grateful when you worship Lord Chaitanya. Vacho Gauranga, Kaho Gauranga, Bhavo Gauranga. And one who worships Gauranga, Sehoy Amara Prana. He becomes my prana. So this is how we can become dear to Lord Chaitanya. So that's his Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam, we chant, right? Sthapitam yena bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadavayam Dadati Swapadanta. That is Chaitanya Manobhishtam. Lord Chaitanya's inner desire is to take the whole universe back to God. Not just city, town, not even planet, but the whole universe. That's the vision of Lord Chaitanya. That's why He came 40 years ago. He came just for that purpose, to reclaim all of us. And He's reclaiming souls who don't want to go, who are not qualified to go, not interested in going, and who are addicted to sinful activities. These are the souls that He's trying to reclaim, almost against their will. And He's giving Krishna Prema Pradayate. He's giving Krishna Prema. Namo Mahavadanya Krishna Prema Pradayate. He's giving not just moksha, but Krishna Prema. Krishna also didn't give Krishna Prema so much, so freely. But Lord Chaitanya is giving Krishna Prema. So here, on the occasion of Ram Navami, we are remembering some verses from the Ramayan, which are so closely linked with Lord Chaitanya mission, and how we can translate that shloka, that verse, that assurance into our situation, and how we can make our devotional life blissful, very happy, not just doing it as a matter of, oh, I have to do my 16 rounds and somehow finish it. I have to do this, I have to do that. Rather, it is a process of blissful process that we can experience. The more we allow Lord Chaitanya to work through us and be part of the Sankirtan mission. So this Bhakti Vriksha we all are doing is a very critical, mission critical, I would say, part of the plan of Lord Chaitanya. So you are all very blessed souls. It's not ordinary people get to do this. It's not ordinary. It's simply extraordinary. And so this verse, I thought of taking this as one of the topics. I don't know how much time we have. Of course, there are different segments of Ramayan we can discuss. or different lessons. I'm always looking at it from Bhakti Vriksha point of view, which has got discovery, understanding, and application. So where there's an application that we can relate to in our life today, in our situation, I was trying to pick a few segments like that. Now, I would like to open this up for discussion. So what are your realizations on this? What have you, because Bhakti Vriksha is all about, not a single monologue, but a discussion, a sharing of realizations. So I would like to hear from all of you devotees what you realized, what you heard, and any questions, any comments, of course. Is that okay, Ramchandra?
Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. May I request devotees to maybe unmute and speak or share or ask questions or at least come on the screen. This is a very, very rare opportunity to interact with Prabhu. So there is no question or comment that's a foolish question or realization. So feel free to interact.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for giving your time, sitting from so far across almost half of the world. Thank you. I would like to request to share, Prabhuji, share some of your stories on this verse realization. It seems like you've been like living through the verse. So please share a few realizations and the stories.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't know how much I can share publicly. Some of the things are sensitive. But anyway, at least at the high level, I can say that it's without naming personalities. But somehow, you see, when we begin our Krishna consciousness, we are start Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, as you know, the 9 stages, like Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, which Upa Goswami described in the Nectar of Devotion. Start with little faith, and then we do Sadhu Sangha, associate devotees, then we Bhajana Kriya, then we start practicing ourselves, and we get initiated. And after Bhajana Kriya, when you start the process seriously, after initiation, what happens is the next stage is called Anartha Nivritti, where our anarthas start coming out. And myself included, I'm not excluding myself. So when we all put together devotees practicing, and everyone's anartha is coming out, and that creates friction, that creates conflict. And it discourages the new devotees because they have come to ISKCON thinking, finally I come to a place where I'm getting peace and love and harmony and pure spirituality, pure Krishna consciousness. I don't expect to see lust, anger, greed, envy here. I don't expect to see all that. And when we see that, we're surprised. Oh, here also it happens. Here also we got politics. Here also we got envy. Here we got competition. Here also we got backbiting, gossiping. Everything is here. I came to ISKCON because I got fed up of every other place, and I came here for some relief from that. But I am getting this instead. So it discourages devotees, and sometimes they even leave, unfortunately, because they have been mistreated or they saw some dealings of devotees are not even gentlemanly. Forget Vaishnava. So it is. I'm just talking about ground reality. This is, and I'm included in that. I'm not blaming somebody for this. I'm talking about myself included. So therefore, there creates all these problems because anarthas are coming out. It's like a washing. Like His Holiness Devamita Maharaj said, this expectation is so unreal. It's like going to the hospital and expecting to see all healthy people there. You've gone to the hospital, how do you expect to see healthy people there? There'll be sick people. So he said ISKCON is a big hospital where all those spiritually sick personalities are coming to get cured. So therefore, we do find all these kind of problems there. As devotees are getting over the anarthas and getting purified and getting, as we make advancement, we get over these things and realize they're all childish and shouldn't be there. So this project of building the temple was a very long story is there in that because first of all, it was started by another group who wanted to be away from ISKCON and do their own thing. They started like that, and then that fell apart. And then the project was handed over to us in Sydney. Why don't you build a temple? So then that project team took over, worked for about 5 years that got the land and got the process started. But then again, there was another change of management. Some people didn't want the project. They wanted to sell the land. They wanted to give up the project. Already we had raised funds and everything. So it was a very tricky situation. And I had to fight through those situations and say, no, we promised the community, promised La Prabhupada will build a temple. And so many Maharajas have come and blessed that land. There's always Bhakti Chara Maharaj, there's always Jamta Maharaj, there's Ramayan Swami, so many our leaders, Bhakti Chara, Jayapataka Maharaj, came and did Govi Puja also. Now I don't want to sell the land, and plus a big city needs another center. So there was a conflict among some devotees. I had a different opinion. They said, no, we should sell this and forget about it. It's not going to come. Such a big $20 million, who's going to get the money? Where's the money? There's this, there's that. But authorities, GBC were with us. They wanted us to build it. And they knew it's not going to be easy, but they still wanted us to because the community, because ISKCON is a very small center in the downtown Sydney, very small center. It can hardly hold 150 people in the temple. There's no parking around. It's right in the middle of the city. So it's very hard to get to, and you have to pay a lot of tolls to get there. And people can't live there. Any property there is $5-10 million. Not even house, apartments are millions of dollars. So that's why it felt good to go to the suburbs where there's more space and you can have a bigger center. So like this throughout, more than anywhere from outside, from our own community, so many obstacles start coming. They start delaying the project, they start telling the donors, the temple is not coming up, you are giving money for nothing, all kinds of things like that are coming. And development application has a 5-year lifespan. So we got application approval in 2014, it's going to expire in 2019, April. And if you don't start commence construction before that, it lapses. Then you've got to start all over again to get permissions and permission. And it's harder to get permission nowadays. What we got 7-8 years ago. Now, if you try and apply for it, you won't get it. Other temples have tried to, other outside ISKCON temples have tried to get permission. They're not getting permission because that area is saturated. So we run all these risks. So we had only 2-3 months left, and the whole community had splintered. And I had to start with just 3 months before expiry of the development application of DA. We had to start the construction, but we haven't got a construction certificate yet to start the construction. That are not in place. That normally takes 6 months, 1 year. And we only had 2-3 months. And the old builder who we were working with, he was saying, it's all right, we'll extend the council extend the deadline. All wrong advice. Lucky we didn't take that. So we got in a new builder and they got to work, and within 2-3 months they did the basic digging. We also did Ananta Sheikh installation, groundbreaking, we did the surveying and all the basic, and got a certificate and got the DA. Now DA is valid for life. Can take us, once you start the construction before the expiry date, then the development application is valid for life. It never expires. So you can take as much time. There's no time pressure. So all is like that, at every stage there are obstacles coming up, and sometimes from inside, sometimes from outside, sometimes from the neighbors. The neighbors start complaining, there's all an Anglo-Saxon community there, and a lot of objections to a Hindu temple. They thought there's a Hindu temple. They don't know where Hare Krishna is from. We're not Hindus, we're for everyone. But they misunderstood and they thought, why is Hindu temple here? And so like that, there'll be so many obstacles and challenges. But it's all coming through now. We're laying the foundation at the moment. But then again, we got COVID for 2 years. That stopped all the work. 2 years is that halt. 2 years we lost there. But luckily, we had just saved the DA before the COVID hit. So we're lucky to have done that. That is lucky means mercy of Prabhupada and Vaishnavas and Lord Chaitanya mercy, so like that. So even now, there are so many things we're trying to do because of bad weather. Now we had the reverse El Nino cycle where we're having months and months of rains and a lot of floods around here. How many suburbs are evacuated? Near the temple land, up to 2 kilometers away, there's flooding. The river is flooded and it's completely gone. So whatever foundation were done, that would have been really bad. We could put piles and piers already in place. So those all would have gone. We're supposed to pour the slab. That's when the rains started. So we can't do for another 1 or at least 2 months. We can't do it. It got delayed another 2 months. So like that, every step of the way we have challenges. and we have to take shelter of the Lord. The funding is a problem because donors are saying how long it will take to build a temple. We have been donating for 7 years now. Every year we have 5 fundraising dinners, 5 times a year. So donors come they come once in a year and they donate some amount. So we have a congregation now. So we divide them into 5 dinners. Every time we have over 100 families will be invited, and they'll put together 100 to 200,000 collect. So about in a whole year, about 500,000 to 1 million we raise. Already raised $3 million. We need another 5 million to do the first phase. So like that, the funds are a problem. Donors are getting impatient. Sometimes they get misinformed that the temple is not coming. That's a false propaganda. Sometimes that goes on. When they're dealing with builders, councils, you know the whole story. I don't want to go into any details. Lumps and do. I think that's okay, isn't it?
Yes. I think Rashi Mataji had a question.
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhu. So I had the same question as Gopal Prabhu asked. So I wanted to ask specifically about in the verse it says sincerely surrendered. So just wanted to know what does sincerely means here, like any definition or anything you wanted to highlight, Prabhu.
Thank you, Matu. Yeah, once one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, what does it take to be Krishna conscious? And Prabhupada said, just be sincere. So that's all we can offer from our side, isn't it? We can offer, only thing we can offer from our side is a little sincerity. That's all. Everything else, I have personally no abilities. So sincere means just be sincere. That's all. Do your best. We chant our rounds. Try to do it nicely, attentively, as much as possible. Try to chant our rounds in the mornings, earlier part of the day, if not all the rounds, at least most of the rounds. And associate the basics of the association of devotees, hearing and chanting. We want to do that, improve the quality of that. Improve the quality. We have a taste for hearing. We have a taste for hearing and chanting, then we'll that'll take us through these tough times. So when we are sincere at this stage, I remember one of my elderly godbrothers who passed away some years ago in Mayapur. He was one of the pujaris in Mayapur. He had also a very good job and everything. He was overseas. He came back to India and settled in Mayapur. He said, I want to leave my body in Mayapur. And he was serving Radha deities in all deity worship. And the last few weeks of his life, he was bedridden and couldn't go anywhere. And he was completely in bed and going through obviously a lot of pain and discomfort, suffering. And but the devotee noticed that he was always very blissful. No complaints, no issues, no regrets, and completely blissful. So the devotee asked him, "You are sick and you're not well, and how come you are so blissful?" And he said, "When I was in good health, I was able to rise early in the morning, take bath, and go to Mangalarti and do the Lord's service, deity worship. But now I can't do that. Instead of lamenting and regretting what I'm doing now, in my mind, mentally, because physically I can't do it anymore. Mentally, I rise at the same time, take bath, put on my tilak, put on my dhoti kurta, go to the temple, do my service as I was doing when I was healthy. So mentally, I'm doing the whole thing. I'm then singing Samsaradava, saying Namaste Narshingaya, Yani Kani Chapa Pani. I'm doing Tulsi Parikrama. I'm doing the japa. Japa I can chant. I'm chanting, lying down. They said the whole program I'm following from my bed only. That time I didn't have Zoom and all this. Nothing was there. So only, technology was not that advanced. And he said, and devotees are coming constantly to chant Kirtan with me. They're coming to read Bhagavatam for me. They're coming and giving me association. So I don't feel that I'm any different. So here was a devotee who was not a leader, not a GBC, not a guru, not a sannyasi, not even a Bhakti Vishal leader or some prominent personality. So I just learned sincerity from him. And such an unsung hero, such a beautiful devotee, he just goes back to Godhead. Straight back to God. Complete successful life. So that gave me a lot of hope and courage that yes, if we are sincere, then Krishna will take care of us. You don't have to be a very special pandit or scholar or a great devotee or a great something. So I just take inspiration from these devotees. I think that's all I can say.
And that's indeed very encouraging, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for sharing.
Anybody else would like to share their realizations or ask a question? We also see, Prabhuji, that as you mentioned that you were saying earlier that fortunately so busy, there's so many services coming to America. If there's service will come, we don't have the luxury of just vacationing and things like that. And we practically see there is so much service. There's so much that one can do.
Yeah.
But even bhakti vrikshas or any other services. But sometimes, and it's actually, I see that as an opportunity, because the more we take on, it is an opportunity for us to, number one, purify ourselves, but also help our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement to spread. But sometimes this fear is there of, taking so much, and what if nobody helps, or I'll be just too much occupied, and then I won't be able to attend to my other things in life, like work and family and all. So how to get rid of that fear, or how to come up with that spirit of just give. Krishna says, I will take care of you. I mean, everything will be taken care of. So why not completely take this opportunity? And nobody's giving up. You haven't given. I know you are a grihastha, and I have all these years not given up. Many other devotees have not given up. So can you share something on this topic?
Sure, Prabhu. It's a very practical question. And this is a challenge we often face. You see, my colleagues at work, they always talk about work-life balance, work and family life, and they have to balance. But for us, for the devotees, is three: work life, family life, and devotional life. Three things to balance. Hard enough to balance two balls. To balance three is even harder. So that becomes challenging. But my realization on that, or my experience on that, I would like to share is that we have to do according to our capacity. This is always Bhakti Charu Maharaj said. There are three zones. The slack zone, where you just slack and relaxed, and comfort zone, stay in the comfort zone. And then there's a stretch zone, and then there's a snap zone. He said you don't want to get into the snap zone, one extreme, or you don't want to remain in the comfort zone. You have to be in the stretch zone. And each one has their own different boundaries for stretch zone. Different capacity. If our stretching involves compromising on sadhana, it's not good. That's somewhere I saw a list of given priorities. First is health, he said. First priority is health. And then we have sadhana, we have family, we have career. And last he gave service. But sometimes what happens to our enthusiasm or immaturity, we put service as the first priority. And then sadhana goes for a toss, family goes for a toss, health goes for a toss. Everything gets upside down. And I'm myself guilty of that. Things get busy and a lot of pressure comes down with the urgency. So many urgent things have to be done. There's so many problems we face, how to deal with them. It's not just building a temple, it's a community. If there are problems, there'll be friction, there'll be fights, there'll be misunderstanding, there'll be politics. And there'll be conflicts that we have to deal with. We can't avoid them. We have to deal with them. Especially if you're on a leadership role, you can't avoid it. So again, comes back to the point, we have to somehow balance these things. It's a balanced thing. And that's one side of it. The other side of it is, as you said, we need to have the faith in the words of Srila Prabhupada, the words of Krishna. What actually causes the problem is, let's say a devotee gives us 100% and starts serving Krishna. and then some problems start happening in the family or in the health or something, some issues start coming up, and then that's when they get doubts. Oh, am I doing the wrong thing here? You know? So that's why if we are balancing from the beginning, then that makes it a lot easier. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the one should be balanced in recreation and sleep and rest and all that, taking rest, taking recreation. There has to be a balance of these things so that everything is as smooth as possible. But having said that, when you take up devotional service, especially preaching work, when you take up, challenges will come because Yapatak Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj says, you're on the fast track of purification. Krishna puts you on a fast track. So therefore, some extraordinary challenges come, which will help us to surrender, like this verse was saying, Lord Ramchandra was saying, we surrender to him and get purified faster, quicker. So we should have that faith. If problems are coming, then we should take it as Krishna's mercy. For me, we take shelter of him and get purified. Both sides. And the faith should be there that this is for my good. I'm not doing anything bad here. To help somebody in the Krishna consciousness. That is for the benefit. That's why we go on book distribution, we go on Harinam, we do Prasadam distribution. So many things I'm sure I'd like to learn from your strategies also, how you're doing things. So these things are there for our purification and for benefiting others as well. Nije janma sartak kari, paro paropkar. Amar agya guru hai tarai desh. Lord Chaitanya said, Amar agya guru hai, become a guru by my order. He's ordering for you. But he says, janma, nije janma sartak kari, but make your own life perfect first. So my chanting has to be good, my sadhana has to be good. And then paropkar. Then you can do paropkar. भारत में जन्म हो जाए जन्म सार्थक करो कर परोपकार. So especially if you're born in India, then we have greater responsibility. But we should try to take as much as we can and not overstretch ourselves beyond our capacity and find it very difficult to manage, start suffering. This Krishna consciousness is meant for susukham kartum, joyful, anandambudhi vardhanam, not for distress. If becoming distressful, then you take a pause and see, okay, what can I do different? That's my little experience. I don't know how helpful that is.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to share this last weekend. This past weekend, Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj was in New Jersey. And someone asked him a question. Said, Maharaj, I saw you last time when you were healthy, you were not in a wheelchair. And you're very enthusiastic and preaching so strongly, and I see you now, and this time I'm more inspired by you, by seeing that despite in this condition, you're preaching so vigorously and you're traveling. And the question was, what is it that keeps pushing you to move forward? And Maharaj gave a very beautiful answer, and he said that, I remember Srila Prabhupada and the difficulties he went through. And I'm very grateful to him, all the difficulties he faced. And that is what keeps inspiring me. And this is only my gratitude to show him that what you have done for us, this is little bit that I can do for you. So it was so very hard, touching to hear that from Maharaj, that we owe Srila Prabhupada this life. So there is no way to just sit back like Sugriv did after making a commitment and saying, I'll help you find. And then he just went and, he went into the comfort zone. So I always remember that story that, if we go into that comfort zone and forget, that somebody who has given us everything, who has given us Krishna, how can we even rest for a moment? In the sense, we have to do something according to our capacity to give back to Srila Prabhupada that will make him proud. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Anybody else? while devotees are thinking, I'll just quickly share our upcoming programs this way before everyone drops off. They see it. So this coming Sunday, this class will be given by His Grace Mayapur Chandra Prabhu. And next Wednesday, it'll be His Grace Subvilash Prabhu, who spoke last week as well. And again, the topic will be on the Ramayan, the 9 processes of devotional service in Ramayan. So please join us for these wonderful programs. Of course, on Sunday, it'll be in person. We're also planning to start our Sankirtan festival, which is bi-monthly. We will probably start at the Wanson Park, where we will go and do Kirtan. So stay tuned. We will send that information out. And for devotees who are not aware of or would like to, please, you can join us for the morning japa calls from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. or join one of our Bhakti Vriksha programs and our weekly 15-minute reading. Take a break from your work and join us for the Bhagavad Gita reading daily. So thank you. Any other question or comment? All right. Everyone is content.
I have a question.
Yeah, no, Madhav.
Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for your wonderful realizations and today's lecture. So Prabhuji, my question was that, throughout our devotional service, we encounter devotees like how you said, and sometimes we have faith in them, and sometimes our faith becomes a little bit loosened. And then because of that, we become more hesitant to, again, associate with devotees, or we become hesitant to, ask them questions, because then it's like, oh, are the answers that they're giving me legitimate, or, because we've had that previous bad experience with associating with devotees. So we become hesitant and we kind of just, stay in our own kind of zone. So how do we come back and again, restore that strong faith? Next.
Thank you, Madhavu. Beautiful question. Yes, once the faith is broken or shaken even, how do we get back on track? Yes, that is true. It does happen. And that is part of life. And we should take it as Krishna's arrangement for me to test my faith and make me strong, make my faith stronger rather than going away. There's a nice saying I saw somewhere, when the going gets tough, the tough get chanting. So we take shelter more of the Lord. And if you look at it from a practical point of view also, let's say there are so many car accidents, right? Do we stop driving a car? Right? We should lose faith in car by now. There's so many car accidents in this world. So many airplane crashes. We should not be flying. So we do take risks there quite happily without much thought. Why not take the risk of trying to be, of course, more careful and associate devotees with more care, and see what we did wrong in the past as past. We should not expect our poor taking shelter of or help from. We should understand they're also human beings. They're also human. We have one session. We have one session once a week for all our Bhakti Vriksha. It's called Boiling the Milk. It's a special session. Yeah, it's called Be the Change to Go Back to Godhead. It's about not changing other devotees or not changing the world. It's about how I can change myself. So if I trusted some devotee and they let me down, then I've got to see what was my role in that devotee betraying the trust. Maybe I did something also for myself. Maybe I didn't help him or her do their best. Maybe I could have done something better. So misunderstanding to happen in Kali Yuga. Because right here also in Sydney, we have got a whole splintered congregation because of misunderstanding, the rumors. People thought that we're interested in position and power and all that. They misunderstood the whole thing. All I wanted was that this project should not be left aside, because people lose faith. Next time you go and collect money for building a temple, they'll say, "Oh, I know how you built a temple last time. You took the money and didn't build a temple." That's the last thing you want. And these things people don't forget in a hurry. Whole generation will get affected by that. So I didn't want to lose the project. And as a result, I had to keep going, and people misunderstood that. They thought, "Oh, he's after position power. He's so old, he should be retiring now." So none of those kind of feelings are there. And we are happy to retire, provided someone willing to take responsibility to continue. Otherwise, you have to hold the fort until such time people are ready. And that's what the higher authorities wanted us to do. So these things will come, but again, we have to go back and see where we are going wrong, our expectations also. So we had one topic for discussion, and that was, the title of the topic was, ISKCON leaders are human too. Just because you're a Bhakti leader or a temple president or a zonal secretary or GVC or guru, whatever you are, after all, you're also human. Human means we do make mistakes. So we have to allow for people to make mistakes. Just like you're bringing up a child, children do make mistakes. You can't just chastise them and make them feel so bad that they lose all the self-confidence, self-respect, dignity is gone. When you chastise them so much for one mistake. So rather we should allow, Prabhupada said you can make mistakes, but we should learn from the mistakes, don't repeat the mistakes. So mistakes we all make all the time because we're conditioned souls. But we should learn from the mistake and not repeat that again. We should not be afraid to make mistakes. Rather, we should be willing to do our best. So that devotee, we had faith in, they let us down, we had a fall down or something happened to them. But understand, they are also human. They do make mistakes. And should not keep a grudge in our mind or our heart against that devotee and say, maybe another opportunity will come, we can do something better. At the same time, we can't throw the baby with the bathtub and say all devotees are untrustworthy. Can't lose that either. So, and we have to say, I myself have so many faults, and devotees are tolerating me. Similarly, I have to tolerate others. Because as His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says, at the end of the day, all we have is each other. So we don't have anybody else. If I go out to the association, where will I go? It's like those porcupines. Remember the story of the porcupines? They're all huddled together in a small hole. But they're all poking each other because the porcupines have got quills and they're poking. They find very uncomfortable. And one porcupine felt so uncomfortable, he just left that association of the porcupine, went out in the cold. So I'll be alone. And he died in the cold. Because the others who stayed back, tolerating the poking of each other, at least they kept warm and they survived the winter. So Maya throws challenges at us. To survive these challenges, we need each other's help. And we have to adjust some things. That some devotees will have less association. If they're always blaspheming devotees, they're criticizing, they're gossiping, we take less of their association and avoid them if possible. And associate more with those who are encouraging and supportive. And we need to have 3 levels of association. One is with equals, that we can be friendly and informal and relaxed. And we need association of the elders who will correct us also. You always, especially if you're a leader, you tend to surround yourself with people who are looking up to us, and there's no one to correct us. So that's a very dangerous position. So we need senior devotees who can guide us. We need equals that we can associate with. And we need younger devotees who we can give guidance and support us, because we always have nurturing nature. So the nurturing nature is what makes us have a family, because I want to look after somebody, I want to bring up a child. Sannyasi's nurturing nature is also there. That's why they take disciples. So the nurturing nature is there in all of us. We can't nurture, and no one is there to correct me, no one is there to guide me. And that's why many sannyasis fell down. Because they're always associating with devotees of bowing down to them and saying how great they are. And there's no one to correct them. They never got association with others, more senior, more experienced, to correct what they're doing wrong. And then before they found out it's too late, then there's a fall down. So we need all 3 levels of association, which Rupa Goswami describes in the Nectar of Instruction. All 3 levels are necessary for a healthy development. Some amount of criticism is good, but if you always criticize, that's also not good. Someone has to encourage us also. We also get friendship. We need all 3 levels to be fulfilled in our Krishna consciousness.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay, any one last comment or question before we end today's session?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. This is Madhavi Sita. Thank you so much for enlightening us. It was very nice to hear you after almost 2 decades.
Yes.
So, and very practical solutions, and we can apply that in our life. So, even after after so many years, as you said, right, we also need someone who we need guidance, who we seek guidance from, even after mentoring other devotees in Krishna consciousness. So I really felt very satisfying today hearing you, that we felt that yes, there is someone who can we look up to. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming, and I hope we'll get more opportunity to hear you in the future.
Thank you, Madhavi. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. It's a very great honor to be with all of you. And what a little bit I'm sharing is the mercy of my Guru Maharaj and Prabhupada and Vaishnavas. I'm just sharing what we learned. I've got a lot to learn from you also, so I'd like to hear. That's why I gave a little time at the end to hear your realizations also. So we can do like that. So, because the more we share our realizations, the more we grow ourselves. So thank you, Madhavi.
Yes, I do remember that when we started Bhakti Vriksha, you always stressed upon that, and that was the format of Bhakti Vriksha also back then.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to once again thank you for joining us today. Hopefully in the future we can have more such sessions and learn some pointers through which we can expand our Bhakti Vrikshas, encourage other devotees to take on Bhakti Vrikshas, because all we are doing is repeating, following a standard model, and it doesn't take much to, if every one of us, or the leaders at least, or those who are studying Prabhupada's books sincerely, chanting 16 rounds, they're empowered by Prabhupada. And if only each one of them took 3-4 families, even just small 4 to 5 families, then this program can just grow so much all over the world. How many Bhakti Vrikshas do you have right now there?
Right now it's a bit hard to count, because now we got so many branches now, because they're decentralized Sydney now. So I think in our own, because our congregation is only 3 years old, in 3 years I think we must be having at least about 10 or so. Yeah, in our area, because it's all new now, and it's not been stable. That's the problem. We're going strong up till 2018. In 2018, everything just toppled and became separate. So still trying to rebuild. Each one is trying to rebuild their zone, so to speak. So there are many branches now. So there's West Sydney, there's North Sydney, there's South Sydney, Southwest, and so many are there now. And I myself lost track. So at the moment, I was looking after the whole of Sydney before, but now I'm only restricted to West Sydney. So yeah, I think about 10 or so by now. About 300 families have joined now. We started from half a dozen families, and then we have to build from there, scratch. So, but we have to learn from you how to attract all the, not just Indians, but the non-Indians also, and how to get the wider community, local community. I have to learn from you.
Okay. We also have one devotee who's from our virtual community, and Mataji is in Sydney right now. Vijay Mataji, if you're there,
Yes,
maybe
yes.
she can get in touch with you, or connect her daughter, who's very close to the temple.
Oh, great. Okay. Hare Krishna, Mataji. I got a message from Vijay Mataji. Good to see you now. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. I was just there at the New South Wales Krishna temple today morning, and
Okay.
feels very nice to be there. There were some
Yes.
devotees and had our Mangal Aarti, Puja, and Prasadam.
Wonderful. Look forward to meeting you sometime before you leave Sydney.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, everyone, let's unmute and thank Prabhuji by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra once together. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Ram, Ram,
Ram
Ram, Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.